session, I'll just deal with projects and things like that. Okay, so good evening, everyone. Welcome to this Thursday session, 24th October of TDS. And I've put the agenda for today in the messages box. I hope you can all see that. So the agenda is, we'll take some technical doubts and queries first. And part of that is also discussing just in brief what the project is and what's expectations, what the workflow is. And then any doubts and queries relating to it, but I won't be able to solve it for you. But if there are some, some doubts and queries about how to go about something, uh, I will try and guide you on those things. But the actual solution to the project will only happen after the submissions are deadline is passed. Okay, so just keep that in mind. So some of my answers may be vague. Okay, so just keep that in mind. Right. So what I'll do is I'll share. And yeah, today's session will be mainly taken by Jivraj, but just this first bit of the session I'll take with regards to projects. So my project here. So you guys can see my screen, right? It'd be better if you're audible because I can't
Yes,
see the.
it's visible.
Yeah. Okay. So right. So project is available from your portal. So hopefully you found there's a tab that says project one, and then it'll take you to this page. And then you will have you'll have to log in obviously with your ID, and then there is a quiz ID which whenever you're posting on Discourse, please put this on there so that we can track the issue for you better and give you a more meaningful response if it is warranted for your particular data set, because there are different ones given to different students. Okay. So that's,
Sir, question are the different vary from over to students?
so the questions themselves are I think are the same, but the
Data set is different.
data sets I think are different.
Yeah.
But I believe the questions are the same. So from what I've seen so far, I've not seen any different questions. So I believe they are the same. But I will give you 100% answer after verifying that that is indeed. But
Yes,
I'm
sir.
99.
In my case, city name is different, sir.
Yeah,
In your
city.
Dublin.
Yes, yeah, city name and followers will be different. This
Yes.
bit will be different. Okay, this bit will be different. So what do we expect you to do? Well, first of all, we expect you to go to this documentation page, okay, which is in this link here, and this documentation will tell you everything about the API. I know it's a lot to go through, but then I'll point you to some of the key things to keep in mind when you're looking for. So part of the learning of this exercise is for you to not for us to give you all the answers. Go here to get this document. I won't be doing that, but I'll tell you some general principles and things to keep in mind. Okay, because we want you to learn how to navigate this. Because when you go to a job and someone tells you, okay, we want you to do this, they will just show you this document, show you the documentation portal, and then you have to go get on with the job, right? So that's exactly the idea behind this. So that's the GitHub API, and I'll talk briefly about that in just a bit. What are we expecting you to do? So we want you to first of all create a user's CSV and a repository CSV and README for the project. Okay, README.markdown. So that a .md is a markdown file, and then optional is any thing that you want to use to show your code and how you solve the questions, spreadsheets of analysis that you've done and things of that sort. Okay, that's optional. Okay, you'll get some extra points maybe for that or something. What we want in this, so when we say we want your user's CSV, what we want is not just a blank file. Okay, it's a file with these fields in your CSV. So CSV stands for comma separated values. So the top line of your CSV should have these column names: login, comma name, comma company, comma location, comma email, comma hireable, bio, like this. Okay, and if there is any data processing that should occur on the rows below, it tells you exactly what should be in it. Okay, so for example, there's some little bit of cleanup work required here. Okay, for company names that you scraped from the user profiles. So it says trimmed of white space. So when we say trimmed of white space, it doesn't mean that if there is a space, in between company and names, there's a space, right? It doesn't mean getting rid of this space. It means trimmed of white space means left, if there's space left of this
Left
and
and right
right
space.
of that, those should be trimmed. Okay. Some of them will have some at symbol. So anything with lead, which have an at the front. So that's what leading at symbols. They should be removed as well. Okay. And company name should have to be converted to uppercase. So that's what's expected there. Then rest are all pretty straightforward. The next thing is the repositories is similar. So it should have these field names at the top row, and then these are the items that should be in there. Then the next thing is the README, which is a markdown file. So you will have to learn how to write some markdown. It's not very difficult. It's the same thing that you can use even in discourse. Is also actually the replies are all markdown. So if you use markdown syntax in discourse, you can create headings, tables, all sorts of things, right? So that's so you can read up about markdown, how to do markdown. It's a simple document format. Okay, and then these are the three things that are required: an explanation of how you scrape the data. Each bullet point must be one sentence, so don't write like a whole paragraph for a point one. Just one sentence, no more than 50 words. Same thing, this one sentence, no more than 50 words. So that's what you have to do for each of these things. Okay, then uh, the README is what will be ranked by your peers. We have yet to come up with a complete rubrics for that, but you don't have to worry about that right now. But the point is, your README file is what they will evaluate. Okay, the questions you answer in this project is for us to grade you on, but what you put in your README is what your peers will evaluate. So think about that very carefully, what you put in there. Okay. Then these bits I'll explain afterwards, because this is the bit that comes after your project is submitted, right? And then your peers are reviewing it. So I'll explain that after project submission is over, because it's not important right now. Okay, next thing is, of course, you should have a GitHub repo if you haven't created one already. There are two reasons for doing this. One, of course, it is required. It's absolutely essential for you to get scores on this project. So create a GitHub repo and then put your URL here. And then the second reason, of course, is it helps you to, so GitHub API has a limit on how many requests you can send it. Okay, it's they are called rate limits. In other words, how many times you can send a request to that API. If you don't uh, log in or use a token, then you will be restricted to a very small number of calls that you can make. But if you uh, get a login, create a login, create an account, and get a token and use that token, API token, then you will be able to scrape something like 5,000 requests every hour. So it's a huge difference. Okay, I think without it, it's like 60. So that's something to keep in mind. So that's the reason you want that. Rest of it is pretty straightforward. They're just questions that you answer after extracting the data, putting it in a data frame, preferably a pandas data frame, and then you can answer all these questions doing that. One more thing I want to mention: this check answers button, although it works for most questions, it's still not completely bug free. Okay, so some things may still go wrong. So don't rely on this check answers or this submit button, and when it says, oh, it's incorrect or correct or whatever it is, don't rely on these things at the moment. Okay, it might be fixed yet, but we are still in discussions with Anand about it on the back end of issues that we have raised from our end also. Because along with you guys, we also have to solve, the TAs also have to solve the project. Okay. Same with the GAs and everything. So there are some issues that we have come up in our own internal testing that we are still uh, working with Anand sir about. So the takeaway is don't rely on this. This is just meant to have been a help. It's something we're trialing, but there are still some, we feel there are some edge cases. It's mostly works, but there are some edge cases where it might not be working as expected. So that's why I'm saying don't rely on it. Okay. Just treat it like a regular GA where you don't know if it's right or wrong until you get the result back, right? As far as submissions go, when you send the submissions at the moment, what happens is it gets stored on the backend, all your submissions. But when you reload it, of course, you don't see the answers because it's not fetching it back from the submissions back onto the form. Okay. So we are aware of that, but it doesn't mean your answers are lost. But what it does mean is, because only the last submission is considered, whenever you submit it, make sure that the ones that are empty also, you just re-enter the answers again. Okay. And Anand has mentioned that in his post as well, that when you're submitting it again, just make sure to re-enter the answers, because otherwise it will take your last submission will then be only the ones that you have filled. So that's just one minor inconvenience you'll have to face for the time being. Okay, so that's about project. Now, if you have any questions, you can ask me. Uh, yeah, go ahead, Monica.
Yeah. Can you just open your project?
Yeah.
Yeah. One doubt I had was about this optional but recommended your code or spreadsheet. No, no, go up. The things we have to submit 1, 2, 3, 4.
Yes.
Right.
Yes. Yes.
So, do we have to upload the entire code or just the, I mean,
I mean,
analysis wala code?
yeah. So the code will, it's up to you what you put in the
Oh,
optional. Okay. Code can be your notebook, right? If
yeah,
you upload your notebook, it's not going to be difficult to do, right? It's just uploading one file.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
So code you can put, spreadsheet. You know, if you've done some analysis on this data, you know, that will
In
be
Excel.
nice. Yeah.
Yeah.
But that's of course, you know, what analysis you do would be interesting, right? Maybe you discovered something from this data.
Okay. So
Uh,
apart from the questions, you are talking about the analysis, right?
Yeah, this is apart from the questions. The questions are
Okay.
only objective questions, right? They're
Right, right.
either right or wrong, that sort of thing. This
Yeah.
this is meant to exercise the other important part of your diploma, which is anybody can create statistics on data, right?
Yeah.
Even someone from 10th grade can do that.
Right.
But can you make some intelligent analysis on it? So although we are not grading you on it indirectly, it might be a part of a bonus or something. But it's useful for you to do. You know, you might
Right.
discover some useful insight from it. And Anand has designed this project in order to see if you gleaned something interesting from it. Okay. So
Right.
as an example, right, just as a general example, I might say, there's a column here, right, hireable. Okay. Now think about this. This actually is useful to do some analysis on this. Maybe you can find out, hey, hang on a minute. What profiles generally, tend to mean that someone is hireable or not, or uh, these sort of like interesting questions you can pose of the data you scrape, right? Um, does someone being open to, hireable, does it involve, if they're hireable and they're in a company, or if they're not hireable, or if they're open to be hiring and not in a company, some study you can do, right, to identify some trend or analysis that you can pick out, is my point.
Yes.
Uh,
Correct.
yeah, so that's just an idea, something that you can think on when you're working on it, something valuable you might have gleaned from it. Okay.
Sure. And I had 2, 3 doubts.
Okay. Yeah.
In
Go
the
ahead.
company, cleanup company names,
Yes.
For some users, there are two, three companies in the same company column. So we have
Okay.
to trim all the at the rate symbols, right?
Yes, yeah. Trim all the at rate in front
Yeah,
of the
because
company
for
name.
example, Tata Motors, Tata Sun. So in front of Tata Motors, there is one at the rate symbol. In front of Tata Sun, there is another at the rate symbol. So we have to
Okay.
remove all these.
Yeah. Yeah, I would remove all of them. The only thing I was going to say is typically a person works for usually a single company, right?
Yeah, but I found some data points where, I mean, for example, there was one data point named Uber. So he or she might be working for two, three departments of Uber. I'm not sure.
Right, right.
So
Okay.
I saw some data like that.
Okay.
And
Can you post that on Discourse
yeah,
if you
sure,
got multiple companies? Because someone else might have the same issue. I'll make a note of it over here as well, something that I want to raise in our internal discussion with Anand as well. So
sure.
I'll just do that
I
as
will
well.
just get it and post.
Sure.
And
Great.
I had one more doubt regarding um, uploading. The three files have been uploaded to the
Yeah.
repository. That
Yeah.
repository has to be private or public.
That will be a public repository. Otherwise,
Public, yeah.
access to the issue is a
That's what I
problem.
thought. Yeah. And also, is it okay if we edit the README file after we submit the project?
No,
Submit
don't do that.
button after
Yeah.
we uh, yeah, after we press the submit button on this page.
No, that you can do. The
Yeah,
only thing I would not do is after the
deadline.
deadline is passed, don't do any more changes to
Yeah,
it.
yeah. After the deadline meeting, I just wanted to just confirm after
Yeah.
submitting this page.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I had doubt in question number 13.
Okay. You're going to
I think many of
ask.
them have.
Sorry.
Many of the people have. I think here we don't have to calculate the correlation of length of their bio, right? As Anand has already mentioned it, that we have to calculate the regression slope of followers on bio word count, not the length of the bio. And here I had a doubt, like a word count meaning only the words or symbols also we can count.
Yeah. So interestingly, I have the same question, and I have not yet received an answer from it. So
Okay.
I will get back to you about question 3 with an official discourse post actually,
Sure.
because
Because
we have the same questions.
okay, because I submitted all the answers. All the answers were I was getting correct. Again, you
Okay.
said don't rely on the check answers button. But
Yeah.
for 13, question number 13 only, I did not get correct answer. That is
Yeah.
why I was digging deeper because I tried
Sure. Sure.
length of the bio, I tried word count, I tried
Yeah.
removing special characters, and
Yeah.
then calculating the regression slope, but I did not get the correct answer.
Yeah.
So again, I want to.
Interestingly, one thing I can probably disclose to you is we have the same issue. We've got all the answers correct. We are not able to get answer to number 13 correct. We
Yeah,
think there is something wrong with the validation script on 13.
maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's it.
So yeah. So I'll clarify what is expected exactly for 13,
Yeah, sure.
and then we'll make an official announcement regarding that.
Yeah, fine.
Okay.
And I'll just ask that I post something regarding that company at the red symbol on
Yes, please.
Discourse.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay. Any other questions?
Sir, can you will go through the GitHub API how to use that?
I won't go in detail on a lot of detail about it because part of the exercise is for you to learn how to do it. But what I will say is some important things to keep in mind is there are 3 things you need. Okay, you need a list of users so that you can get all the users that go in here. But the thing is, when you get the list, the response from GitHub won't give you all these fields. Okay, uh, in order to get the rest of these fields, you would need to use the username and then slash profiles is an endpoint you would have to use. Okay, so that's one thing. Then you have to get all the repos of each user, but there is we don't want, if they have got more than 500 repos, we don't want you to get anything more than 500. Okay, so we don't want the 500 first repo, up to 500 for any given user. Many will have less than that, but some may have more than that. So the ones that have more than that, we want you to only collect up to 500 and then stick them in the repositories.csv file. Okay, that's the other thing. The next thing is uh, with regards to GitHub, pay very close attention to this topic here. So this is the main GitHub API documentation, and as far as users are concerned, you can go here, see users, right, and it will give you some information about how to go about it. And we will not talk today. One of the things on the agenda is we'll not talk directly about GitHub in terms of its API, but Jivraj will take an example of another public API, and he will demonstrate how to use that API. And then whatever you learn from there, you can probably apply the same thing or similar things to here. But this documentation is very good. Okay, we ourselves did not know how to do it until we looked at the documentation. No one taught
Yeah,
us or
sir, sir, I
anything.
did not understand how to use that API, sir.
Yeah.
Totally ununderstood, sir.
Sure, sure. So APIs have three components to it. One is there will be a URL, okay, and GitHub tells you exactly what it is. So say for example, I'll use one of these things just to kind of show you. Okay, so like
But sir, I am not getting the direct URL link, so that
you
I
will know. See, say for example, I want an organization's interactions. Okay, this is the information I want. So I went. So this is the all the things you can get in GitHub. Okay, all these things information you can get. I want organization interactions.
Hmm.
Okay, so then it tells you on the right hand side over here. So curl, if you remember in one of your lectures
Yes,
in week 2,
command
I
line.
think. Yeah. So it tells you, okay, this is the URL, right? Over here in a curl command. So that's the URL for this. And then these are just headers that you pass to it. So like I said, there are three components normally to an API. There's a URL, there are headers that you send to it, and in some cases there are JSON bodies that you send. And the other thing is you can send parameters to it. So this GitHub repo documentation API tells you exactly what are the parameters you can send. See, these are all parameters that you can send, and they give you examples also over here, like how to use it and things of that sort. So it is very well documented, um, and part of the learning, like I said, is to learn how to understand this documentation. It even tells you what status code to expect, what path parameters. Path parameters are things you put in the URL up here. These are parameters you send in the headers. So it is very, very well documented. Okay, but that's part of the learning. Um, but I've told you the three main things, right? You require users, and like I said, you can find it here, right? You're probably going to find it in this position, right? So if I went here, okay, look, oh, there are all sorts of things you can find here. So that's one thing. Get the help of your friends as well, and see what they have done, and you can learn together. No problem.
Yes.
Okay. The other thing was, so that was about endpoints. The other thing was rate limits. This article is very important. Okay, you have to understand and follow this very, very rigorously. So it tells you exactly how many requests you can make per hour. Personal rate limit is 5,000 requests per hour. And that's if you've got an authentication token. If you do not have an authentication token, then you can't even do hardly a fraction of it, 60. Yeah, there it is, 60 per hour. Yeah, so this is useless. You want to make a token. So I hope you know how to make a token. In order to make a token, I can show you that though. If I go to GitHub, so you click on the icon, your login picture, and then what you do is you go to settings, okay, and then once you go to settings, go to the very bottom of settings, and you see this developer settings. You click on that, and then you see personal access tokens. You click on that, and then you see tokens classic. You click on that, and then here is where you can create your tokens. Okay, so you can generate new token, and I normally create just a regular classic token. Okay, you click on classic token. It'll ask for some authentication code, and then it'll ask you what permissions you want to give it, how long you want the token to last. So you can see I've got tokens that I've given the date of 31st Jan, for example. So that's how you can create a token. When you create a token, it will give you some long multi-letter hash key. Take that hash key, and that is your token effectively. And that's what you can use in the API call. Okay, and all these things Jivraj will demonstrate for you. Okay, so that's how you create a token. But remember to follow these rate limits. And if you are very clever with your coding, you can do async or concurrent requests. Okay, where concurrent simply means doing it simultaneously. So instead of doing one request at a time, so another limit they have is every 2 seconds only you can send a request. Okay, if you exceed that, then they will start taking action against you. But
Sir,
if you
I am not
do,
get I can get a all data in a single request.
so they only, so what happens is when you send an API call, they will let you fetch 100 results in a single request, right? You'll get a list of, say for example, if there are 700 users, at most they will give you only 100 users in each request, correct?
Sir, but I next I use that API. I can get the similar result that I get the previous same data. Can I get
Yeah.
that?
Yeah, so you'd have to send a parameter to get the second page, right?
Okay.
Because otherwise you will get just the same result over and over again. You will not get new results.
Sir?
Yeah.
Sir, actually, I have another question here. Actually, sir, can it happen that data set may change? Like currently, suppose there are, I am saying that suppose there are 500 user who
Yeah.
has more than 100 followers in
Yeah.
certain in a city.
Yes.
Made vary after some days if I
Yeah, of
change.
course. Yeah, of course it will vary.
No, you were saying that no, you have I mean, team have a data set. You will check our answer if it matches with yours. Then how it
Yeah,
happens?
we will do. Yeah, so we will do those checks on back end. How the implementation of that is not a necessary discussion at the moment, right? How we are going to do it is not
Okay, no,
necessary, right?
you were saying that's why I'm asking because the
It's
answer may change like that.
yeah. Some information may change. We will do some validation checks on your data. So, say for example, someone, so a guy, the previous gentleman who was asking, he said, if you send the request to the API, will you get new sets of information? The answer is no. Each time you send the request, you have to change a parameter to get the next set of your users, right? Otherwise, you will just get 5 sets of 100 users that are all the same, and you think you've got all the data, but you haven't, right? It's wrong data effectively. So those sorts of checks we will do on the back end. I'm not exactly sure how Anand has implemented it on his back end, but these are the sorts of things that we will be checking on our end over here, right? Have you scraped the data properly? And
Sir,
that's
how many row of data is required for the project?
it will vary from according to your data set. So I think for Dublin 50 there were like 10 or 12 rows, 10 or 12 rows. So it will vary. So it will vary from according to your data set. So I think for Dublin 50 there were like 10 or 12 rows. So it will vary from according to your data set. So I think for Dublin 50 there were like 10 or 12 rows. So I think for Dublin 50 there were like 347 users or something, or 400
So sir,
something.
how I know that Dublin over 500 followers, I get all the data related to that condition, sir.
When you make the API call, it tells you that. It actually, in the response, it will tell you that information. How many users are there? Your response itself will tell you. That's why I said you have to go through this documentation. That's part of the
It
exercise.
it tells how many data and how I give you.
Yeah. So what the API will do is, it will see, that's what I'm saying. When the submission is finished, like the deadline is over, then I'll show it to you completely, the full solution, right?
Yes.
But what it will do, what I can tell you is, if you look at the documentation carefully, and if you look at the response that it's giving you back, in that response itself, it will tell you the exact number of users to expect.
Oh.
So, each data set each filter will create you a certain number of users for say 300 or 400 or some are 700 users, whatever it is. But then you have to fetch those 700 users or 400 users. You cannot get it all in one go, because maximum the API will give you is 100, and it will give you the first 100 or the second 100 or the third 100, depending on what parameters you send it. If you don't change the parameters, it will keep sending you the same 100 only.
Yes, sir, that is bad.
So that's what I'm saying. So the only way you will know if you're doing it correctly is read the documentation carefully. Yeah. So that's part of the exercise, reading the documentation, learning how to do it. This other thing I wanted to mention was, okay, yeah, about concurrent requests, right? So imagine you've got 700 users, 700 profiles, and you've got each profile, let's say this city has amazing coders in it, and each user pushes 500 repos, okay? So 700 into 500, that's 3000, no, that's more than that, right? That's 35,000 requests that you'll have to make, right? Okay. Typically we won't, you won't see that, okay, but just as a silly example I'm saying, right? So if you did that one at a time, one every 2 seconds, that's going to take you forever, right? So that's what, if you are clever in coding, you can do something called concurrent requests. But remember, there is also a rate limit for that. Okay? And it says here clearly, no more than 100 concurrent requests are allowed. The next thing I will say is, with regards to concurrent requests, or to the regards to the rate limit itself, which is 5,000, don't go very close to it. And the reason I'm saying that is, what tends to happen is, let's say you send okay, actually let me just show you with a simple diagram, because that will be easier. Jivraj, sorry, I'm taking a bit longer. Is that okay? Yeah, that's fine. Okay. I'm cutting into a session a little bit. I do apologize. Just give me 1 second here, okay? So, okay, so I hope the screen is visible. Is it? Okay. Okay, so when you send a request, right? Say this is you, and you're sending a request. What typically happens is, your request will actually go through several servers on the internet, okay? And eventually it will reach GitHub, okay? And let's say you're using you're sending requests in your Python code. It clearly says, okay, every 2 seconds, only send a request. And so this request is going, okay, along. Every 2 seconds, this request is going along. You've sent it exactly right. But at this particular server over here, this is receiving a lot of traffic from many different places, okay? So what happens is, inside this server, there is a little queue, okay? And in this queue, it is putting all your requests over here, okay, from different places. So there's a request from these places, there's another request from here. Um, okay, so requests are coming from different places, and then your requests are all stuck at the end of the queue here. Okay, now this server doesn't know that your requests are meant to go once every 2 seconds. Okay, all it knows is some requests have arrived there, and it has come every 2 seconds, and all of them are going to GitHub. That's all it knows. Okay, so what it will do is when it finishes processing these other requests, suddenly these requests all going to GitHub, right? It will send them all at once to GitHub, and guess what happens? GitHub sees your requests, and you have exceeded your rate limit. Do you understand what's going on? Any?
Yes, sir.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah. So that's why I say, don't code it right to the limit. Okay, because on your end it might be working just great, but what's happening in between all these places, you don't know what's happening. And I've just told you the mechanism of what's happening over here, right? So when you're coding, keep some gap. Okay, don't just put 2 seconds, because 2 seconds is what they allow. So put it like 3 seconds or something, and do it that way. And it's the same with these requests per hour. Don't go all the way to 5,000. Instead, aim for something much lower. And if you're doing concurrent requests, I've done a worked out example here. Yeah. So if you're doing concurrent requests, right? So GitHub has a limit of 900 per minute. Okay, 5,000 per hour, but 900 per minute. Okay, and it allows maximum of 100 concurrent requests
Cartoon
per.
code part is not visible.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, sorry. Let me stop sharing this. Okay. Okay, you can see my screen, right?
No, sir.
Not
No,
yet.
not yet. Oh, okay. Yeah. Okay, can you see my screen now?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. So GitHub has, so apart from the 5,000 requests per hour, it also has a 900 per minute limit. Okay, and 100 concurrent requests per endpoint. Okay, so simultaneously you can send 100, but it has a 900 per minute and 5,000. So these are the limits. Okay.
Sir,
So what?
900 per minute, right?
Yes,
If I request every 1 second, then I request only 60 request per minute.
correct. But if you request 100 every 2 seconds, you will easily exceed that, right?
What's that?
If you send in 100 every 2 seconds,
100 requests every 2 seconds
yeah,
parallelly.
yes,
Then
you will
it's
easily,
excessive.
yeah, you will exceed it, right? So that's what I'm trying to say. You can send, GitHub has a 100 concurrent request limit. So you can send parallel requests, right? And that can come 100 per endpoint. Okay. But just to demonstrate why this is a bad idea.
Per
So these are,
per endpoint means what? What's that?
per endpoint means the URL you're sending to, a single URL, you can only hit it with 100 concurrent requests.
Okay. Okay.
Okay. So although these limits look very generous, now I'm going to demonstrate to you why that doesn't work. Okay. So what I did was I calculated that, okay, I will do only 28 concurrent requests. Okay. And I'll send it 24 times per minute. So 28, and those will be at every 2.5 second intervals. Okay. So limit is every 2 seconds, right? So instead of sending one request every 2 seconds, I will send it 28 concurrent requests every 2.5 seconds. Okay. That's the first thing. So that means I can send 24 times in a minute, I can send 28 concurrent requests. So that gives me what? 672 requests per minute. Okay. But that will get exhausted within 7 minutes and 30 seconds. The 5,000 requests per hour. So you see why you should not use it to the limit. I mean, just by doing 28, I'm already very close to the limit per minute. Okay. This is about 25% allowance I'm giving. But remember that diagram I showed you? If I sent it to the very limit, there's almost 100% chance that I will exceed the limit. Just by doing 28 itself, I'm reaching very close to the limit. So that's what I wanted to just show you, that be careful with these limits is the takeaway. Yeah, do the math, and then you will not make any mistakes with regards to scraping the data. Of course, if you don't want to do concurrent requests, you can do it single at a time as well, not an issue. We have done it single at a time as well, and I think it took us what, half hour, Jivraj? Half an hour? Yeah, it took us about half an hour if you do one by one. Okay.
Yes, for me also it took half an hour to run.
Yeah.
I did not go through that document about concurrent requests.
Yeah. But if you wanted to, if you feel like you can make it a bit faster and you want to get it done quicker, then just be careful of these limits is my point. But otherwise, try and stick to this, okay? 2.5 second intervals. Don't get very close to 2 seconds. Even make it 3 seconds if you want. Okay. So that's I think that's it. That's all I have from my end with regards to project. Any questions? Okay.
Sorry, Galfran, I have a question.
Sure. Yeah.
So I can use my personal GitHub account for this this project.
You can, I think. There's no.
Or I have to add with this email ID, student email ID.
Ideally, we expect you to use the student email ID for everything. So even with the GitHub account, because I used to have a separate GitHub account of my own, but then for the purpose of this program, I had to use my email ID GitHub account for everything. So my strong recommendation, my strong recommendation is to use your email ID, because any other courses have strict requirements for it. So like MAD 1, MAD 2, they all have strict requirement that you indeed use it. SC as well. They also strictly require you to use your own GitHub ID.
Okay, so
I mean, as in the student ID one.
Yes, sir. A GitHub account made by our IITM student email ID, right?
Correct. Yes.
Okay, sir.
So if you don't have, I would highly recommend you do it.
Okay, thank you. I will make it.
Okay.
Student
Any other questions?
Okay, from next assignment we can use the IITM GitHub account, because I haven't used it. I have used my personal one.
It's very trivial to make one, right? You can just make one. It will only take a few minutes.
But again, I have to redo all the project. That's why I'm.
Okay. See, I can't give you a definitive answer on that. I'll just check with Anand anyway. But my strong recommendation is you better actually use the IITM GitHub account, because if JK says that it is not acceptable, then you will have a problem, right? So.
Oh, sure. And anyway, I have written all the code in Colab itself, so I can just run all the cells and I will get.
Yeah. I mean, it will not make any difference for your code. Just open up a new.
Make a difference to my code, but just I have to upload the files to that new repository, and I have to enter all the values within that.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
The reason is also because see, a GitHub account could belong to anybody, right? You could. Yeah. So that's the thing. How do we verify it's yours? So I suspect JK will not accept that. if it is not the IITM one. That's my strong suspicion.
Oh,
But I cannot say that's the official position because I don't know myself exactly for this particular project. Is it okay for someone to use their personal account? I don't have the official answer for that, but I will give you an official answer very soon.
sure. Thank you.
Okay. Any other questions before I hand over to Jivraj? Okay. So, Jivraj, you can take over. Thank you, everyone.
Hello.
Yes, sir. Hi, sir.
Yeah, am I audible?
Yes, sir. You are audible.
So should I demonstrate how you can send request to an API and then get response, and what are those things?
Sir, you are taking the example that you are do right now is exactly or somehow around like that the GitHub API, similar like that.
Yeah, it will be similar to GitHub API.
Okay, sir. Sir, can you provide that link are you using? That you are open a Wikipedia API.
This one.
Yes, sir. Please provide in the chat.
So Wikipedia allows you to send 200 requests in a second. think this is what we can try now. I was planning to send request to this holiday API, and before the session, I was just looking at this API. So this Wikipedia, it allows you to just send 200 requests per second, but the thing is, I'm not able to get the data about headers and those things. So we can try with this URL, but there is nothing mentioned about header. So how we will use it? And there is something called rate limit and those things. If we are not sending any API key, how will they handle? So for now, we can try this particular API.
Jivraj, excuse me. Can you please
Yeah.
increase the font size? Yeah, thank you.
Okay.
Perfect.
So I can send request to this particular URL, and right now it is stating that some parameters are required. For more information, I can go to this documentation. So they need some parameters in the for the get request. They need some parameter. One parameter is key that checks from who is sending the request. Then another parameter is year and uh, country and those things. So what it will do if I if I provide a particular country and if I give a year, it will tell which all holidays will be there in that particular country in a particular year. So now what they are doing, they are passing this API key inside the request itself. I mean, in URL, it's a URL encoded parameter. And then I can pass on country and year name. So if I do, and year is equal to 23, then it will send some response to me. This year is required. Okay, year is required. So here they are telling me how many times I have used it and how many more requests are available to me, and when those requests will get reset. So on 1st of the next month, on 1st of the November, my request will be reset to 10,000 requests. So here in response, we are getting a list, and inside that list, we are getting some dictionary structure. In dictionary, we have name of the holiday and when that holiday will be. And this is country, and then we also have information about the date. So if it is Thursday or whatever. And then we have some other days. So we can get some data using these kind of APIs, and now after getting the data, we can answer the question which all holidays are there on Tuesdays. So here I will have to use the exact same names which will be which are getting used in the request. And so what this will do, it will create a URL which will be something like, which will look something which will be similar to it, and it will try to hit this API, and it will get us some response from the server. Now I will store this response inside a variable. So I cannot try to access data of this particular year, because free accounts are only allowed to send request for past data. So we can use 2023. So we have got this data. So now what I want to do, I maybe I want to iterate all the year. So for example, if I do this, so earlier we just send one request to the URL, and then we got some data. But now I want to send multiple requests to the URL, and I want to get data from 1970 to 2024, and then maybe I want to.
But the sir last point is not included in that, sir, in that range, sir. It's give only till 2023.
Yes, because 2024 we won't be able to send request. Earlier we were getting the error that free account cannot send request for the current year.
Oh, okay, sir.
Yeah. Last year's historical data. Actually, I cannot request for more data other than 2023, because they are not allowing me to access for 2022 and 2024. This is all we can get. Okay, the thing is, what I want to say, we will have some URL where we will be sending some request. And then we will have some API keys that we will send in headers. So here in this one, we have send the API key in URL encoded parameter, but most of the time we will be sending it in the headers. And for the project one, we also need to send it in header. So the API key might be API, and then the string can be anything. And what are the other things that I need to send to the URL? So now I will send a request to the URL which we have just defined, and then I will also send headers to it. And along with the headers, I might want to send some parameters. Those parameters can be for some data, so I might have some query kind of thing, or maybe location, maybe. And location can be India. And then I might also want to send some other request. Sorry, some other details, for example, here. So here I can send it as 2023. Okay, let's keep it here. So what it is doing, it will send request to this particular URL, and then it will use these this key in the for accessing the data, and then it will get us some response back. That response I can save it in response variable. And now for now I want to send this request for different year and maybe for different locations. So what I can do, I can loop it. Years we have already defined. Now once I will get the response from the API, so here I can say so what it will do, it will get me the data for this particular year. Now I want to change I might want to store this data somewhere, but continuously I'm sending requests to the same URL with different parameters. So each time when I will send the request, this used, it will increase because I have used the API one more time, and then available it will decrease. So those information you can find it in the headers of the request. So let me give you an example how the header will look like and how you can get those details. So I will open it here, and this is for GitHub, and it tells about it gives us some information about if you have the token, then you can send 5,000 requests in 1 hour. So in 60 minutes you can send 5,000 requests. That is 60 divided by 5,000 divided by 60 request in a minute. So if you exceed that request, then it might block your account. So here is the information about headers. So what it will tell how many requests, maximum number of requests you can make in a hour, then how many requests are remaining for this particular window. So each window they are calling it a hour. So in every hour you can send 1,000 requests, and every hour they are denoting it as a window. And now they are also stating how many requests you can make in the current hour, current rate limit. And then they will tell you when this rate limit will reset. Okay, so for example, so right now I cannot run it on the GitHub URL, and the URL which we were trying, that is not working anymore. So if I do response dot headers, it will give me information about, it will give me the following information. It will have a lot of information, but for sure it will have this information. It will have this key, which will be denoting how many requests you can meet in 1 hour. So it will be 5,000, and then how many requests are remaining. So if you have used some requests, then it will be less than 5,000. For example, it is 4,000. And you have already sent 1,000 requests, that's why it is 4,000. So it will be 1,000. And then when it will reset, it resets every 1 hour. So maybe you can say 22 21 00 on 24 10 2024, it will be reset. This format might be different, but this is how you can get the information about how many requests you have sent and how many more requests you can send, so that you can avoid sending requests more than the limit they are they have put on. Hello.
Yes, sir.
So this is the way. So you just you will be sending some request to a URL, then you will be passing some information in the header that will verify if you are a genuine user or not. Then you will need to loop for so you will be sending multiple requests, so that's why you will need to loop, and then you will be sending more than one request. And then when you will look for the header information, there you will be finding this information, how many more requests you can send, and then you can set the limit. The other way to set limit is they are allowing
Using
it.
GitHub app,
Hmm?
that you have written X rate limit X rate limit remaining. That is in case of GitHub API, right?
Yeah, that is in case of GitHub API.
Okay.
So every API,
Yes,
they will show you how many, yeah, in different formats. So for example, this API, it is telling me how many requests I have used, how many more requests I can make, and then it is also stating when will it get reset. So I
if
think
I
it allows me to send.
if I yes, sir. If I request on GitHub API, it's send back the data to me, and it's some information how many times I used, what the remaining rate limit, and when the rate limit is reset. That information also I get with the data, right?
And
Okay.
data you can get using response.txt. This is how you will get the data that is sent that you receive back in the response. So that will be the main data, and headers, what it will tell, it will tell about some extra information, other like time and how many requests are left, and those things.
Okay. Okay.
And then other thing is, sometimes what happens when you are sending requests to some server, those requests might fail. In that case, you might need to do some error handling. So this whole code you might need to put it in a try except block. If anything bad happens, then you can resend the request. So what it will do, this line of code. Now, if you, okay, let me open the documentation. So whenever something bad happens with the request that you are sending, then you can raise an exception so that the control flow of code goes to the catch block. Now inside the catch, you might want to store when this request failed. Okay, so what you can do, you can open up a file and let's call it log. So now what I want to do, if there were any error from the back end, then I'm raising a exception. Now, if there was a error from the server side, then I want to send the same request again. That's why I'm logging this information when this particular the request got cancelled. So what I will be storing, I will be storing this location, and then I might also want to store this here. But this location, it is already static, so I don't have to store the location. I can just store here. So I can do this. and the actual exception. This should be I, and it will store whenever any exception occurs and request was not successful, so that in the next time you won't be sending these many requests again, because if you keep sending the request, your request count will get increased, and then you will be left with less number of requests. So for
Yes.
that purpose, we are storing the information when that request failed, and if that request failed, that information I will get it in the file, and now I can send the request using that particular information. Now I have year number, so I can get year number from there, and I can send those requests which had failed earlier. And this data, which whatever I got, I can write it to a file, or I can also write it, or I can make a data frame. So I can do anything with this data once I got the data. So this is basic setup. So you will be hitting some URL that you will have to find out from the GitHub API, which URL you will be hitting. Then you will need to get some token, and then this is what you will have to do. You will have to send multiple requests to the same endpoint, because you were asked to get information about multiple users, right? There you will need to send multiple requests, and then these parameters, they will be different. And if there was any exception, it might be because of the response, or it might be because of some other error in your code. So if there was any such mistake, then you might want to send the same request again, because it got cancelled, so that you can do that, you can log it to some file, so that you don't have to send whole request. So if there were some, let us say 800 users, for that for 800 users, if you want to get data, that means you will send some 800 requests, right? But uh, if you don't log the information about when it failed, then you will face then it becomes very difficult for which user the request failed. But if you store the information like this in a log file, you can just go to the log file, and you can recollect the login ID of that particular user, and those requests you can send back. That will save a lot of request count. So these are few things you will have to take care of. So this rate limit should not be greater than this number, and those things. Even if you do parallel requesting, it should still be lesser than 5,000. So anyone have any doubt on this part? How you can send requests to the
One question, sir. Can I ask?
yeah, please.
If I request a URL on the URL, I count some error. Then it is count as used, or it is remaining for me.
That will be counted as used.
Okay. Okay, sir.
But that is just one request, so it doesn't affect much, right?
Yes, sir.
So it is
Simply
not like
repeatedly applying on the same URL, same header, same format. That's cause my user limit is less.
that might be because you are not using the API key, right? Are you using API key? Hello?
Yes, sir.
Are you using API keys?
Yes, sir. On my project weather API, sir. I use, sir. They have
Okay,
count
just
limit, sir.
read their documentation. So just read their documentation, how many requests they are allowing you to make in a second, and then you can put some time delta. So you can import this time library, and then you can freeze your program for some few seconds. Let us say some 2.5 second or some let's say 2 seconds. So every request will be sent after 2 seconds. So this is some safety thing, because your server, it might not send response immediately. And then another thing to consider is you consider adding this line to your code, so that if anything bad comes from the server, that you can catch and you can send back the same request again. And whenever you are requesting to any backend, if you are even writing something to the uh, data frame, still you should keep those information. So okay, for whether data set which you are talking about, you just need to get the exact number of count, how many requests they are allowing you to send, and then just be in that particular limit. That's enough.
Yes.
Is this clear to everyone of you?
Yes, sir.
This is basic format in which you can send requests to the to a API. So now what I will try to do, I will try to so in the rest half of the session, I will try to demonstrate you how you can use XML files and you can extract, you can parse those files. Actually, we can ask ChatGPT to create some XML file for us, and then we can have a look at the structure of XML file. So we might be interested in storing information about a bookstore. So inside a bookstore, there might be books that belong to some categories, and those books, they might have some name and a name of the book, and then some more information about it. So let's try to create that. Need 10 XML with bookstore that store information about category, name, and those things. So here what I have got the XML document. Inside that XML document, I have some object called bookstore, and inside bookstore I have individual titles of book, and for every book I have category, their name, and then author as well.
Sir, what are you doing, sir?
Sorry.
What are you doing, sir?
Actually, what I am doing, I am trying to create. I'm trying to create equivalent DOM object for this XML code.
Hmm.
So this XML, it is storing in some tree kind of structure. So how
Yes.
it is storing, we have some XML, that this is our whole document. Now this document is stored inside. So this document has something called as bookstore. Inside this bookstore we have book, right?
Yes, sir.
Book 1, you can say book 2, and
That
something like that. We created 10 books.
okay.
Now for every book we are storing 3 variables:
Category name, author.
category, name, and author. So this is how this information is stored in a XML file. So this seems to be a structured information, right?
Yes, sir.
And why they are storing it in a structured format, so that we can get access to a particular tag very quickly. So if I want to get information about a book, then I should be able to get it quickly. Okay. So if I want to get name of every book, then what I will do, I will traverse this tree. From bookstore, I will go to every book, and from that I can get the name of each book. So that's why it is getting stored in some tree kind of a structure. Now, once we have idea that it is storing in tree structure, now what I will try to do, I will try to get the name for every book. So for that, we have a library called Beautiful Soup, which allows us to access this text, uh, this XML into the tree structure, which I just talked about. So now I will be using this particular library, and it will allow me to access the XML document. So I will send this URL to you, and you guys can also work along with me. So I have already installed the library, so I will just import it. And then I will be using this particular code. So now instead of HTML doc, what I want to do, I want to replace it with the content of this particular file. Whatever is inside this file, I will replace it with that. So first I will need to read that file. And instead of HTML parser, I will say XML. I have already installed a parser. So if you are using it for the first time, what it will do, it will give you some error because you don't have parser. In that case, you will need to install some parser using pip. So that you can find it here. But for HTML document, you won't be using any parser explicitly. So here I have read this particular file and I have the data. Now I will show you what it will look like. It is the same document. Now I can find all the elements that have book tag. So these are the 10 books, and now inside this book tag I can store it in a variable. Now on this variable I can do, so it's a list.
Yes.
So it's a list of okay, if I look at the zeroth element, and then if I look at its type, it's BS for element tag. Now for this particular, so what this zeroth element is doing, I have this particular bookstore. In that bookstore, I have book. So this zeroth element is showing me this particular book. Now, if I do find all on that, what this should do, this should get me this particular element. And once I have this particular element, I can just do yes text.
Text.
No, it's not text.
Dot content.
Content maybe. No. Actually, see, it's find all. That will always return me a dictionary list. If I use find, then only it will return me one element, which won't be in list. But if I do find all, it will return me a list. So I will need to get the zeroth element. Now I have this. I think I can use text. Yeah. So this is the name of that particular book. And now we can also store some additional information about the book. So for example, I might want to store language. So for this particular book, the language might be English. For this particular book, the language might be Hindi. And for this particular book, language can be something else. Tamil maybe. Though these name of the author, they are not Hindi people or Tamilian people. I'm just naming it for sake of doability. So now what I'm storing, I have a bookstore. In that bookstore, I have books of different language, and this book can also belong to English. And now I might be interested in knowing how many books, which all books are there, which have language English. So for that, what I will do, I will get all everything that is inside the book, and from that I will use something called as attribute. So this language, it's an attribute. Similarly, we can create different attributes. What all other attributes a book can have? A book can have page number. We can say 120 pages. There might be some other attributes. Color cannot be attribute. So what I can do, I can use these attributes to get information about those specific element which have English as language. So I will pass that information here. Now it. Now what do you think? What it will give me? If I have these 10 books, then what I will get from here?
What are 10 books of English language?
No, see, I'm asking. So here we are getting all the book tag, and then we are
Language
getting
English.
tags. Yeah. So what do you think? What it will give me?
So two books, sir.
I think this one and this one, right?
Sir, first and the fourth.
Okay, so now let's run the code. And list out of index. Okay, let's first try to print what is there in books. So we don't have anything in the books. Why? Because we have just changed this file and we haven't read the file again. So I will have to read this file and I will have to create this soup element object again. Now I think I should get those two books.
Yes, yes.
Yeah, here I get. So inside a XML document, we will be having this kind of structure. So it will have at the top. It will have where is my horizontal window? Here. So it will have something on top of everything. That is, we call it document, and inside document we can have different kind of store. So here we just have book store. You can also have cloth store. Inside the cloth store you can have cloth one maybe, and different elements. And for every cloth can have a name. Yes. Okay, let me ask ChatGPT what all parameters cloth can have. So this cloth, it can have an attribute, let us say age. Now this cloth, it might be made for age limit of 0 to 10. So you can query those clothes which are meant for age group of 0 to 10, and then you can have some other attribute. So attribute is telling about it is giving more information about that particular tag. What else can we have other than age? We can have a lot of things. So it might be meant for a particular gender. And
Yes.
those kind of things there can be. And then for every cloth I might store its name, its type, and size, and those things. A lot of store things I can store.
Brand.
And these, yeah, brand can be here. It can be attribute, right?
Yes.
So I can filter everything that belongs to a particular brand. And few things, they are not attribute. So this name, it's not giving me any information, but this brand, it is giving me information. So I can have different cloth that belongs to the same brand. So there is something called as attribute that gives me additional information about the tag. And in this logical way we can store some more things. So I can store I can have a general store. Inside that general is, so what I can do, I can maybe this whole thing I can put it inside a store. So here what you have a store, and in that store you have a book store, and other than book store I can have some other store. And like this I can store a lot of information, and here I can have some clothes and those things. And you may want to identify it with some ID, so we can keep ID as 1, and we can keep incrementing the ID. Then we can have some age that might be between 1 to 10, and a lot of parameters can be there. So this is how you can store a lot of information inside a XML document, and you can access that information, and you can also update the information. So did you get I think
Yes, sir.
did you get the idea about how you can parse the XML document, and how you
Ah,
can get information from different section of the document?
yes, sir.
So what about others? Hello.
Yes, sir, got the idea.
Okay, so can you summarize what I taught just now?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, please do the. Just tell. Just give the brief summary of it. Vivek, do you want to give the summary?
No, sir. No, no. It's it's well, sir.
Tanya, want to give the summary of what we have just talked about?
So about the XML data,
Yeah.
so like HTML data, you have created that XML data, XML file, you can say that, in which we have different list. You have created that data with the help of ChatGPT that has which is bookstore, which has different books with different attributes. And then, so you imported that data with the help of beautiful soup. Yeah, you have read,
Mhm.
open and read that, and you have find the content. You can find um, the book at the zero index or one or two, and with the help of using attributes also. That's it.
So you using attributes is handy because we want to answer some questions. So we might want to get all the books which belong to a particular language. So
Yes,
language
sir.
can be an attribute, and there can be some other attributes as well.
Said that. So please open bookstore.xml page once.
Yeah.
Then category and author can be also called as attributes, na?
No, you won't call it attribute. You will call it a tag under this particular tag. So you
Okay,
have book tag. Inside book tag, you have category tag.
okay, okay. So it's just a data of a particular book.
Yeah. So yeah, this okay. I will draw this diagram again. It's a bit messy.
You said with the help of attributes, we can collect more information about other books also.
Yeah, you can assign different attributes to different books, and later you can use that attribute to get the information, right?
Okay, sir.
So you have something called document on top of everything. Inside this document, you have bookstore. In this bookstore, you have book element as individual element, and this book it have some attribute. So ID is one attribute, and then the other attribute was ID is not an attribute. We have
ID will be
language.
different. Yeah.
You can also keep ID here. Okay.
Okay.
You can keep ID is equal to 1 if you want, and then you can keep incrementing the ID as you move. And then you can also have language, then you can also have page number, and a lot of different things you can store. And you can also store the category of book, if it is fiction or science book, or is it about biography, technology. So this is how you can categorize books.
Okay.
So Category can be one attribute. You might want to get information about all the books that belong to science category, and they are also they are written in English language. You might be interested in finding that. So that you can do. You can pass. Okay, let me show. So you can have category attribute. So let's call it science. And now if you have this, what you can do, you can pass different attributes. So right now we just have one attribute.
Yes, sir. So this is the way how we will read the data given in the project.
It, no. It's related to ROE. In the project, you will receive data in some JSON format.
Okay,
So
so that
you know,
also.
hmm?
Okay, okay, sir. Okay, sir. Okay, okay. Sorry,
So
and that was
JSON,
CSV file.
yeah, from the endpoint server, you will receive data in JSON format, and then you will store it in CSVs.
Okay.
Okay, but here we have data in form of XML document, and XML, it is related to HTML a lot. In XML you have flexibility about creating the uh, tags, but in
Yes,
HTML
yes,
there are predefined tags, some heading tags, some anchor
yes,
tag,
sir.
and those things. But here we can create our custom tags, and we can also create custom attributes. So here you can so if you want information about in the book, all the books that are written in English as well as they belong to science category, then this is how you can get all those all those books, and then you can iterate those books.
So if you want to have two categories, then science, comma, and another category.
Yeah, you can pass comma, and you can
No, no, not
also
here,
put
sir.
SES.
Not here. In finding the data in this
During
line.
finding the data, if you have multiple category, then what you can do, I'm not sure if we can pass it like this inside a list. Okay, let's ask what we can do. We can create two books. So this one also I can put category is equal to technology, TECHNOLOGY, and SCIENCE. Okay, so now I will read the same file again. I will create this element, then I will do this. It have just got me one book.
One book.
Maybe this is spelling correct? SCIENCE.
ENC,
SCE.
EIENC, yes. So maybe it is taking the last one.
Maybe it is picking the last one. So the other way is you create different books. So this you can call it.
Yeah. Another variable we can create. Yes.
Yeah, you can create some other variable, and then at the end you can concatenate the data. So you can do that, right? I was thinking that this might work passing into list. We can also
This
try
should work.
what you suggested. Hmm?
Yes, sir, you can try like this also. No,
No, it's not working.
no, sir, it won't work. So put science in another commas and technology in another with comma between them.
Uh, it's treated as a single string.
Huh.
You have to give the double quotes.
Something like this.
No, sir. Yes, sir. No,
Okay,
no,
let's try. Okay.
it won't work, sir.
Yeah, it didn't work.
Yeah.
Sorry. We have renamed it. That's why it's. Oh, now it's giving us. And what if I do this? No,
So it will take as it as a single variable, na? Science, technology.
I think that's what it is doing.
Yes, sir. So put science in different inverted commas and technology in different inverted commas and comma between them.
Something
Might
like
be.
this.
Mm, no, sir. Or you can try this also.
I'm not sure. No.
No. So just remove the second category from the list. Yeah, this one. No, not technology, sir. Only category.
Oh, but for science, it is giving me empty. Why?
Empty list.
Oh, okay,
Ah,
okay.
it will give.
SCIENC. SCIENCE. Maybe we messed with the file that we read
Need.
it again.
Now it will give, sir.
But still,
No,
it is empty.
it should not. SCIENC. So, commas have inverted, double inverted commas, and single inverted comma. You have put technology in single and science in double in XML file.
Mm, oh, still, it's giving the same output. Okay, let me use technology here. So for technology, it is getting me the correct work,
Correct
and
answer.
this one also have the same. Maybe I need to pass. Yeah,
Sir,
Maybe
remove
because of
remove the
page
page. Remove
attribute.
page, sir. Yes, sir.
hmm?
Remove page attribute and
Yeah.
try.
Yes, sir.
Okay, we can try that. No. Okay, let's
Technology,
remove this.
science
Yeah.
and math.
No, sir.
Science.
The technology you have written there.
Yes, sir. Change it to science.
Technology.
Yeah.
In the
Not in
IPML
main.
file, sir.
Yeah. Not here, sir. In main file.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, let's read the file again. Okay, now
Yes.
it is getting the data. Now let's try to put it inside a list, okay? And let's see if it works or not.
Yes, sir.
Yes, it
Yeah, it's
worked.
It
work.
is working.
I think there is a page is equal to 120 direct. It's
Yeah.
not in a single quote. That's why it's not taking another attribute that after that.
Okay, let's try that. If I put it inside single quotes, and if I save it, yes, that's the mistake which you were doing. So data should always go inside
Means
the
strings.
quotes.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Okay. So this XML document, it is just similar to the HTML document. Both
Yes,
of
sir.
them store data in same structure, that is DOM structure. And now you can get different part of the document using these attributes and things. So you should know how to get the required data. So it might these IDs and these parameters, these attributes, they might give you some additional information, and that information might be very useful to scrap the data. So in ROE, if you get files like this, and let us say you got 50 files which have this kind of data, so you can consider it as you got data from 50 bookstores. Okay, now every bookstore, they will have some books, and they might be storing data in this format. It will have category and language and those things. Okay, so now what you want to do, you want to read each of those files, those 50 files, and then you want to create soup object out of it, and then you may want to find the books that belong to English category, and then sorry, English language, and they have these following categories.
So you
You can
mean
also,
different 50 different XML files?
yeah, you might get 50 different XML files, and then you might have to concat that data into single CSV file. That's very easy, right?
So sir, we have to traverse every file and parse the data and put in the CSV file.
Yes, you have to traverse the whole document, and you can keep a pandas data frame open, and whenever you get some data, you can keep pushing to it.
In a single file.
Yeah, in a single file. Because the question might be, if you have 50 stores in one city, and now you might be interested in knowing the answer, how many books are there which belongs to English language, and how many books are there which belongs to English language and they have category as science. So those kind of questions you can answer once you have the data.
Sir, his voice is not.
Yeah, so your voice is breaking.
Yes.
Yes,
Yes.
sir.
Is it okay now? Okay, it might be some. So what I was saying, if we if there is a question, let us say you have inside a city, if there are 50 different bookstore, now each bookstore will have books, and they belong to different languages and different categories. Now you want to know the answer, how many books are there in this city that is written in the English language and it belongs to science category. So those kind of questions, if you have the data ready in the CSV, you can very easily answer, right?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, you got the idea why we are te- uh, teaching this XML thing.
Yes.
Yes, sir.
The same kind of tree structure is there in HTML as well. So now we can try the similar stuff in HTML. I will not be able to create tags like this because HTML won't be providing us custom tag thing, but we can try a few things. So here we have a HTML document that have some tags inside head.
Metadata, sir.
That's, yeah. it's giving some meta information about the character. So we will be storing data in UTF-8 format, and then this is some information about how to display each of the element on the screen. And the important stuff always lies inside the body tag.
Bodies.
So if I show you, we have. So we have body here. Inside this body, we will be having this whole data that we require to scrap. So I might be interested in scrapping this particular list.
Table.
So for that, I can locate where is this list. So this is the table. In that table, they are storing this list, and inside this table, we have this header, and then we have this data that is stored inside different elements. So we might be interested in getting this data. So inside a body, what we can have h1 tag that in general it will be some capital bold text. And then I can have a div element. Inside this div, I can have a paragraph. And we can also have some other tag. So this document, it will also be represented in the same format, the tree document we created for XML file. But instead of having custom tag, it has some predefined tags. So can anyone help me to create DOM for this particular HTML document?
So book store, sir.
Yeah, for this particular HTML, this bookstore.html. I'm not talking about XML.
So what you want to create, sir?
I want to create a document object model. That is DOM structure, the same kind of structure we created here.
Okay.
So inside this HTML, this is representing a attribute. Okay. So whatever, if you have something here, so for example, if I have a slot, and then some value here. So this is a attribute, and this is the value. If we locate the same in this XML file, so this category was the attribute, and this science was the value. So similarly, we have here the slot is a attribute, and this whatever it is, this is a value. Okay, I can just put one
Sir,
here.
create a div.
No, body. HTML body then.
Yeah, HTML. Yeah, this is correct. We cannot start from the div itself.
Okay.
Oh, yeah, sir.
Then so we will take body or head.
So it will have two branches.
Body
Okay.
include is head and
body.
because if you look here, this
Yeah.
indentation, it is like this, and then this is separate from head,
Yes.
and both of them, they are enclosed within
The
HTML tag.
HTML tag.
Yeah. And now for this head, we have three different tags. We have meta,
Meta.
and for this particular meta tag, we have this char set attribute and those things, right?
API, yes, sir. And a title.
And a title, yeah. And title, as of now, it don't have any attribute.
In a body, one H1 tag and one div.
Div tag.
Hmm.
In a div, one
Yes.
p and one div tag.
In a div, we have one p, yes.
P.
And
Then
another div
div.
and a
This
div p tag.
P tag.
Yes.
Yeah. And there is nothing else. That's it, right?
Yes.
Yes, sir.
So this is equivalent document for this particular HTML file. So this is similar to the XML file. The only thing is, in XML we were able to define custom tags, but here we don't have ability to define custom tags.
Yes.
Otherwise, this structure is almost same. I mean, not almost, it is exactly same.
Yes, sir. Exactly same.
So we should be able to get data from here also, right? If we are able to get data from XML, that means we should be able to get data from HTML also.
HTML.
Yeah. So for that, what you will be doing, you will be reading from some other file. We will, this particular file for timing, and then instead of XML parser, you will pass some different parser. So which parser you want? Yeah,
HTML
you
part.
you will parse this particular parser. And for HTML parser, we don't have to download anything. In XML, we had to download a parser. This parser we had to download, but for HTML, we don't have to download the parser. I think it by default downloads the parser. Beautiful Soup will by default download this parser. Okay, so and once I parse this file, I can do the similar stuff, and I can get the data that is inside this HTML document, whatever is there. So let's do that. And I will parse this parser. Oh, I was just reading the file. I was not creating a soup element. I mean, soup object.
Read the file.
And okay, yeah. I have just opened the file. I will need to read it. So I have got this data into the soup object. Now we can try to what we can try. maybe we can try to get this particular
Yes, sir.
line, right?
Yes.
Okay, let's try to get this. So where we want to go, we want to go to the body tag, and inside body, okay, we want to go to body, and inside body we want to go to div, and then inside that div we want to go to another div, and then we want to go to paragraph.
Soup dot find all.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
Then name is equal to body.
okay, this will give me body, right?
Yes.
Let's print what we got. This is what we got. Now what should I do
And
on this body?
first take outside from the list. It's what's called indexing. Yes, sir.
Hmm.
0.
Yeah, because find all will give me a
Find all.
list.
Yes, sir. Find all.
Mhm.
Div. Name is equal to div.
Mhm.
0. Bracket is 0.
Mhm.
Then find all.
I can show this here if you want.
Find all.
Mhm.
Name is equal to div. And index is index 0.
Hmm.
Then find all. Name is equal to p.
But now I can use find itself, right? I don't want to find multiple elements.
Okay. Find.
Earlier also I could have used find only, but okay, for now we can use find all.
Name is equal to p.
And
Index.
hopefully this will give you. And then dot text, right?
Index or index. It's text. Find all.
Ah, yeah, it's find all. That's why we need to use this.
Text.
So it has some
Dot r strip,
new
sir.
line character.
Is strip. Yes, sir. Strip.
Yeah,
Dot
yeah.
strip.
This is coming from here, right?
Yes, sir.
Because inside this file we had this thing, so we can remove these things by using rstrip.
Yes, sir.
We can simply use strip, right? We don't have to do rstrip and lstrip. We can just use strip. That will
It
remove
will
it from both
both
the
all
sides.
these. Yes, sir.
So this is how you can locate a particular tag inside the HTML document, because it stores in a document format.
Tree like format.
Hmm? Yeah, tree
Tree
like
like
structure.
format. Yes.
Mhm. So once you have this particular so do you think I can change it? So if I try to update it, what do you think? Will I be able to update it?
I never tried, sir. This is updated paragraph.
Okay, so let's try then. Maybe you meant no, I didn't mean this.
No, sir. You can't update, sir. It is saying that you are e- equate that. Equate that.
That is to check if it is matching with.
Yes, 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 sir. It is not assigning the value, sir.
Okay, let me do this. I think this might work. Because now we are not doing any stripping and those things. And do you think it worked or not? What do you think? did this soup element, did it got changed or not?
I did not know, sir.
Okay, I also don't know. Let's try that.
No, sir. After
It
that,
didn't. Hmm?
it's not changing the value.
But actually, there was a way to change change what is there inside the tags. I think I will ask it to the chat GPT. Why? How can I set values of a parameter?
Sir, you are parsing the data from a website using the beautiful soup. I think so, but you can't change the data of that, sir. So it's denying, sir.
No, no, no. Yeah, for sure. We won't be able to change data of that website, but we can change the soup object, right? And I
Hmm.
remember there was a way to change the soup element.
Yes.
How can we? How can I manipulate something inside a DOM using beautiful soup? It should be beautiful soup. Okay, recognized.
Dot string.
Modify the content inside the dot string. Okay, let's try that.
Below, sir.
Oh yes, it got updated.
Where, sir?
See?
Yes, sir. It's a value dot string method.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
what have you
this
done?
beautiful soup it allow. So what we have done, we have got this particular. Okay, let's. Oh, why there are two? Where is the HTML? So we got this particular paragraph tag, and once we
Yes, sir.
got this particular paragraph tag, we tried to update the data into the soup.
Yes, sir.
And then if we try to print the soup element again, we got
Okay,
this
okay,
result.
okay.
This is
Okay.
updated. So you can use beautiful soup to manipulate the DOM object. So using that, you can update whatever is there in your HTML file. Now, once we have updated it into the soup, we can save this information into a file, and now we are done. I mean, it will get updated. So in the
So tomorrow is your session.
tomorrow we won't be having any session. The next session
But
will
in the
be on
calendar is showing, sir.
Monday. Oh, in calendar it is showing? I don't think.
It is
Yes,
live session.
live session TDS 9 to 10 p.m.
Previously it was on Wednesday, but for this week it was conducted. It will be conducted in tomorrow, sir.
That's instructor session.
That is instructor session. Yeah, it will happen tomorrow.
Okay, sir.
So how was the session today? How do you feel
Nice,
it?
sir. I I learned beautiful soup
It
before
was
I
good.
never tried, sir.
You never tried beautiful soup, okay?
Yes, sir.
You just learned it and
Yeah, sir.
decided to
I only the see the lectures and sir doing. I learn and you doing. I keep watching. I never practiced that, sir.
So actually, you can try today after the session or tomorrow. You can go to some website and you can get data from there, and then you can try to load that data, and you can also try to update just we as we
Sir,
did.
I take the four subject plus one project, so I less time, but I doing the less focus on that now, sir. I give the focus on. I have time, sir.
After quiz one, you can try. So
Yes, sir.
you,
Yes, after quiz, I try, sir. I try everything and do my project, sir.
hmm. You don't even have to know about how to update it. You just have to know how to get the
Query
data,
that, sir. Yes,
correct
sir. How
data.
to get the data?
Because in ROE, that is what is more important. They won't ask you to
So when
update
you,
anything inside the DOM. ROE will happen.
Date on the calendar.
There is a date on calendar.
Uh, Not calendar.
I think
The course introduction page.
17th of November, sir.
20th.
19th of November.
17th November. 17th November to 17th. Yes, 17th November. That is a one fixed time, sir. 1 p.m. to 1:45 p.m.
So it will be on 17th of November from 1 p.m.
Okay,
to 1:45 p.m. Okay. Okay, you can see look at it on the course registration
okay.
course
Yes,
page
sir.
itself. TDS course page.
I will look at.
Sir, hello.
Mm-hmm.
Sir, I have one question actually regarding project. Can I ask?
Regarding project, yeah. If
Yeah.
it is some specific question, I can answer.
No, sir. Actually, in user.csv and repository.csv, there we need to actually make booleans as small true and small false. How to make that? Because sir, when we make small true and small false, it automatically becoming the capital letter in Excel.
No, I have tried to make those has project and those things. I mean, you can convert into small letters. I have tried that and it worked. Using pandas, you can do that. Yeah, and that you have to do. Otherwise, it will give you wrong results.
Yeah, it's giving me wrong result actually.
Hmm, hmm, hmm.
Sir, I tried to convert it using pandas, but yeah, when I convert it and open that file in Excel, no, it's always showing as capital. I don't know why.
Oh, is it? Okay, just try to open it inside a text editor and then see if it is still showing you capital T or small t.
Okay, okay,
Can you try to open it inside a text editor and then just check if it is capital T or small t?
okay, sir. Okay,
Can you do it now?
okay, sir. Just give me a minute.
Wait.
Sir, it's showing as capital.
Okay, then maybe you are not able to convert it correctly.
Okay, okay.
It should get converted.
Okay, then I need to check in text editor, right? Not in Excel.
Yeah, you need to check it inside text editor. I don't know how it works in Excel. It might be Excel is reading it as
Yeah,
small t
actually,
and it is
I searched that
converting.
and it's showing Excel by default takes always capital Boolean values.
Okay. What about text editor? Have you tried it?
Yeah, yeah, it's showing as capital. Maybe there is some problem in my code.
Yeah, if it is showing capital in text editor, that means there is some problem with your code, the way you are handling it.
Okay, okay.
Okay, if no more doubts, then I will stop the recording.
Yes, sir.
Sir, in the GitHub API, how can I get, sir, my API key, sir?
So how you can get the API key? I think Carlton showed you how to get the API key before.
I'm not finding any option for that. That's why I asking, sir.
Mm,
Okay, sir, no problem. It's time to deadline of the project. I
Actually,
try
if you go to
myself.
any
Yes.
endpoint, they will suggest you from where you can get the token. They will suggest you this is GitHub token and
Mm,
from where you can get that token. And
yes, sir.
in the
I try
initial part
myself.
of
So can I ask?
okay, okay.
Share the screen. I've shown them where to get the token. Just rewatch the earlier part of the
So you will just go to this GitHub and then you will go here and you will move to the settings, and inside settings if you scroll down you will get this developer settings option, and then you will get this option personal access token. Then you can go to the tokens. So these are some other tokens which I have already. Then you can generate a new token. It will first ask me for password. And then you can provide why you need that token, the expiration time you can set, and then here you have to select uh, the you have to select it correctly. If you don't know how to select, then I also forgot.
descriptions here anyway. Descriptions here anyway.
Yeah, description is written here. So you will have to select the correct one. I guess this is what I selected. And I selected one more. I don't remember what I selected, but if you read this description, you will know what all you need to activate. And if you are still not able to access the data using this token, then you can ask GPT
Hmm.
what all you need to tick here. Then you should be able to get the
Get that
token. So
down.
that
In our project, sir, we need to user data and the repository data, right?
yeah, in project you need to get repository data and user
Uh,
data.
the repository data is the repository data of that user we get, or some other user,
Of all the users from user.csv.
all the user from the users.csv. Okay.
Hmm.
Okay, sir.